Episode 275 of the Grip Strip Podcast, the rinse and repeat edition of the Grip Strip Podcast. My name is Philip Matthew. I'm your host, and as always, I'm with the iRacing Indy 500 champion, computer genius, gentleman and a scholar, and wearing a hat not only an ode to his dad, but for something else that has been announced coming up for next year. His name is Joshua Fine. What's going on, brother?
Doing great, Phil, of course. Yeah, glad to be back for another week here on the show. But yeah, this hat here, USS Kitty Hawk, of course, ode to my dad's service in the military and all that, but also the announcement of the NASCAR street race in San Diego on Naval Base Coronado over there. So pretty cool to see that announcement yesterday and that video, and then hear about that, which we've been hearing about for a while now. So yeah, glad to see that announcement become official now as of yesterday on July 23rd. So yeah, other than that, yeah, the iRacing Indy 500 champion, of course, now trying to become the Brickyard 400 champion on iRacing also. That's coming up this weekend as well, which we'll get into later. But yeah, ready to get into all of it.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to talk about that, trying to get the double at Indy. Juan Pablo Montoya was probably the closest to ever doing it. Probably should have, but that's beside the point. Tony never really had a real shot at it. Jimmy only ran the Indy 500 once. And then but we'll get into the races at Dover where Denny Hamlin gets the win, holds off Chase Briscoe at the end on a green-white checkered in the Cup Series. In-season tournament, an interesting combination. It was, oh no, that was my mistake. Yeah, Ty Dillon and Keebler Gibbs, which if you had that picked, then God bless, you're literally the only person on planet Earth that would have had that. In the Xfinity Series, Connor Zilisch getting his fourth win of 2025 in a rain-shortened race. We'll talk about the San Diego street race on a naval base, so possible, with kind of similarities to tracks like the Cleveland Burke Lakefront Airport. St. Pete is got a couple of runways as part of their circuit too. Of course, Josh being familiar with that track. So we'll talk about that. IndyCar at Toronto. Pato O'Ward getting his second win of 2025 in what was a chaotic race. A rare instance where Chip Ganassi Racing, at least with their big name guys, didn't have a great day, but their young driver did, along with Dale Coyne Racing. So we'll get into all the stuff there. Points. They're going to Laguna this weekend, so talk about that. Roundup has NHRA, Moto 2, WRC, Formula 2, Formula 3, Formula E season finale in London, World Superbikes, and Indy next before we preview the Belgian Grand Prix, the last race before the summer break for Formula 1, and IndyCar at Laguna Seca, NASCAR Tripleheader. There will be a Cup and Xfinity, of course, at the big track, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and then the Truck Series will be at Lucas Oil Raceway Park, 10-15 minutes away from there. Josh will let us know all things in iRacing and the sim segment, and we'll call it a day. So we will start with the Auto Trader Echo Park Automotive 400, big freaking name, at Dover Motor Speedway. Race that had they had rain delays in this race too. They didn't have any qualifying because of the rain the day before, so they went by points and whatever the algorithm, and that gave William Clyde Elliott the pole, and or Peaches as he might be known as now. He ended up being dominant, led 238 of the race's 407 laps. He had two other drivers that led 67 laps each. So really, it was 3 drivers that dominated this race. It was Chase Elliott, Chris Bell, and Dennis Hamlin, of course, who ended up having track position at the end and putting himself in that spot to win his 4th race of 2025 and his 58th career Cup Series victory. So 2 away from 60 and tying Kevin Harvick. Big milestone that he wants to hit, and the way he's been running this year, I wouldn't doubt that he would have a good chance to do it. The rundown of the top 10, Denny Hamlin, Chase Briscoe took tires late on the green-white checkered, started 10th with 2 restarts to go and got up to 2nd, had a chance, couldn't clear Hamlin in 3 and 4 because he was right on his door. And to not wreck the way that Christopher Bell did or spin out, he basically had to back off, took 2nd. Alex Bowman, Kyle Larson from 25th to 4th. Keebler, Gibbs, top 5, and William Clyde Elliott the 2nd, Darrell Walsh Jr., Ryan Blaney, so the 3 close friends all together. Blaney was 31st to start the day, finished 8th, 22nd to 7th for Bubba. Christopher Buescher and Brad Keselowski, your top 10. There were 20 cars on the lead lap, and that was less than, but they had a few cautions there. You had, there was 1, 2, 3 cautions late in the race there that kind of led to a couple more cars being on the lead lap. Christopher Bell, as I mentioned, spun out late in the race trying to battle Denny. William Byron got taken out in a incident, in one of those late race incidents. Finished 31st after running up front all for most of the day. Hendrick and Gibbs domination with, sprinkled in with Roush, 23-11, and a little bit of Penske there. And I guess RCR, even though Pop was mad about the performance, which is interesting since Kyle Busch actually finished 11th and Bald Spot finished 15th, which is better than he usually does. But Denny Hamlin right now, it's yet another, we've done this for 6 years, and I think for 6 years he's been in contention to win the championship almost every year. He does this sort of thing where he wins like 4 or 5 races in the regular season, and then something happens in the playoffs. So I guess, credit to him. It's a track that he said was one of his worst tracks in his career for many, many years. Learned how to drive it better. He said that watching Jim Johnson, watching others who are good at the track. But and also the new crew chief, holding off Briscoe there. Briscoe really could have used that 2nd win to solidify his playoff spot. I'm not really afraid that he's going to lose his playoff spot at this point, but Denny Hamlin, man, we've gotten used to it. The guy is a Hall of Famer. People can hate him. He beats everyone's favorite driver, all these different things. He's the heel on the same day as Hulk Hogan passed away, so he plays the heel role really well. But in the end, he's one of the best too, Josh.
And he's one of the best here, and of course, he's also trying to aim with this win. It's another step towards him potentially being on that top 10 list of career winners. And he said on his podcast, not only does he want to be just on the top 10 right now, but he wants to stay on that top 10 list. So it's not good enough to just crack 10th place on that list there. But for him, this is a step in direction towards that goal. But I think for this year, it definitely establishes him as potentially the best driver on the tour here, with now the series leading 4th win, which, I think for him that's important because could be important for seeding, playoff points and all that could help him finally get to the championship round in this format and have a shot at it in Phoenix there at the end of the season there and everything. So it's for Denny, I mean, it's significant in that sense. So I think he's still got it left in the tank, throughout the rest of this season. I definitely think because he's at 58 now, so I mean, or 62 now, so I think he'll have an opportunity to continue to get up to that mark, because he probably needs at least 2 victories to top the year off there with the last race of the year, and potentially maybe even Martinsville if you do it back to back like that to end the season. So we'll see how the rest of it goes, but I definitely think he's a favorite to be in the championship for at this point in time there. But as far as how it happened on Sunday, obviously stayed out on old tires and was able to beat the likes of Chris Bell, Chase Briscoe there at the very end of the race. And there was talk with Chase Briscoe being on 2 tires there at the end. Could he have beaten Denny Hamlin there? Of course, raced him with respect there on that second to last lap there on that restart. And if he wasn't a teammate with him, maybe it's different, of course. But in the end, Denny is able to drive away there on the last lap. People talk about staying out on old tires and defeating new tires there, but which has been an issue here in this car. But I mean, we've seen this in Dover many times where guys stayed out on old tires and was able to take the victory there. I mean, go back to 2002, Jimmy Johnson and Mark Martin there had a similar type of finish where Jimmy was able to stay out on old tires and Mark Martin couldn't get past him there. So that was definitely an interesting finish there, particularly, I mean, for me, watching Chris Bell really try to fight to get to the win there, and ended up spinning out, which is the second time they had spun out on Sunday there. So, kind of an interesting finish there, especially, I think, with the rain, because they could have easily just called it. We've seen NASCAR do that before, where they kind of gave up on the race where, you had a handful of laps left to finish the race there. And I think, even with, 14 laps to go, I guess it was important to finish up the race, and, they were able to do that and get to the end there. So Denny able to hold off the rest of the field, and now he's got 4 wins on the year. So it's funny because I actually picked him in our picks last week, and I also said that Michael McDowell would finish top 15, I think, and got it all right. So that's another one that I was considering betting on Denny and trying to parlay Michael McDowell, but Hard Rock wouldn't let me do that, so I didn't place a bet on there, and maybe I should have just taken Denny straight up there. So I guess there's be more opportunities here the rest of the year to be able to participate in that, of course, here in the Cup Series. So we'll see how that goes. But there was, it's definitely Chase Elliott. I mean, he probably should have won this race if it weren't for that pit call, but he goes and inherits the point lead as well. So now there's that aspect of this, because he, with the way he's been running lately, could end up being the regular season champion here at the end of the year. So that's another storyline to take away from this race here. But Denny going out and winning, not really surprising. I mean, it was either going to be him or Larson, who was also there at the end. But at the end of the day, Denny Hamlin goes out and gets to take home another Monster Mile trophy.
Then he did that the new popular thing with the Coldplay Kiss Cam thing, and with the trophy, Clyde probably had that deal won, but taking the points lead because of William Byron's wreck late. Top 3 in points, overall points, or Hendrick. So, that's something that we have to keep in mind. Right now, there's 6 drivers within 67 points. So that's it's a crazy to think in this day and age of NASCAR with the stages and all the other malarkey going on, that you have 6 drivers within 67 points. Here with 5 races to go in the regular season, so it's a shame. I mean, it's a shame that battle can't go the whole way. I guess it's like Danielle Trotta and Larry McReynolds got absolutely obliterated on social media, talking about this format and whatever. Blaney came out and it was for and against, because to be fair, he's benefited from this format with the win and in kind of deal because he's won Martinsville the last 2 years, and then won the championship by finishing second the year that he did win the championship. So I'm sure he's a fan of this format. I said it, I forget, I think one of my friends at Apex that we were talking about it, and I'm like, the playoff format that we have is set up, they're trying to force what 2011 was, to a much lesser extent 2012, much lesser extent, because it wasn't anywhere near as dramatic, outside of the fact that Jimmy was involved and Brad was first time in that mix, really. I mean, the year before he was in third or fourth or whatever the hell it was. But, you're trying to force Game 7 moments. You can't force Game 7 moments, no matter what they try to do. The discussion about formats and whatever, it's kind of like this in-season tournament. Who the hell on God's green earth thought it was going to be Ty Dillon and Ty Gibbs? That's the fact that Ty Dillon was sitting there battling John Hunter Nemechek, and they were battling for the lead lap, and that's literally why he got it, is because he got the lucky dog on that next to last caution, and that gave him the edge. But to be fair to Ty Dillon, he's sucked for most of his career, but during this however many weeks, he's not been bad, and his team has performed. Colleague Racing has put themselves out there, and considering they're like an RCR affiliate, knowing that they don't have the best equipment, AJ is the known number one driver there, and they've kind of taken a step back here as the years have gone by because of the experience factor. Initially, they had it was a lot more advantageous for them with this car. The fact that Ty Dillon, I think, is running probably as good as he ever has in the Cup Series. And so whatever happens at Indy, it's like house money for him, because nobody believed he was going to make it out of Atlanta, let alone now he's in the final at Indianapolis against Keebler Gibbs in a Gibbs car. So Gibbs has to win it, because, how are you going to lose to Ty Dillon? Unless Ty Dillon has a rocket ship like he did back in 2013 in the Xfinity race. There's no way. You also have the notion that for Gibbs, he's the only driver in that team that hasn't won a race this year. There's 8 total wins in that team. Briscoe has had a couple of opportunities since getting his win. So the notion is he's been on the cusp, and so and he's currently 8th in points. So the fact is, for Gibbs, he's 120 points behind Briscoe, and then forget freaking Bell and Hamlin. He's over 200 points behind Denny Hamlin. So the performance has not been there. They put what's his face, Gabe Hart, on the box now to help with Tyler Allen. They're trying to do everything they can to get him across the line. I guess this would be like a moral victory for them to go and get that deal if they can get it done. Of course, if they, it's Indianapolis, so it's hard to get the handle there, and you can wreck very easily in those corners because it's super flat. And then, Ty Dillon wins $1 million, which would be insane. But, that's NASCAR for you. Let me see here. So, we went over I talked about the points there. Larson, there's the 3 Hendrick guys separated by 38 points. Elliott, 16 points out of Byron. Larson, 38. Hamlin, 39. Then Tyler Reddick, 62. Chris Bell, 67 back. it's interesting to see these star drivers because they are open cars. That's so crazy. Freaking Zane Smith is like outrunning. I mean, it's not like any of them are really performing great, but Noah Gagson really sucks. I mean, I didn't need confirmation that he sucks, but man, he's terrible. Cole Custer's had a terrible year, and then Riley Herbst sucks, but man, Gagson's freaking 60 points behind his own dang teammate. And then Justin Haley, who's been trash. I mean, I was just gassing up Ty Dillon, and Ty Dillon's tied with Justin Haley for 30th in points. Yeah, it's pretty terrible. The guys that are 16th and 30th in points are battling for this the regular season, or not regular season, that in-season tournament. And the guy that's 26th in point has 3 wins. Yeah, that's NASCAR for you in 2025. Go back over so I can see the playoff point. Yeah, so right now, Hamlin leads the playoff points at the moment with his 4 wins. 1 more playoff point than Kyle Larson, Bell, Van Gisbergen, the multi-win drivers. Then you have Byron, Clyde, Blaney, Briscoe, Logano, Chastain, Cindric, and Barry. So 12 drivers with a win this season. Tyler Reddick, I think, is fine. He's pretty much the last one that I think for sure, unless, the bottom falls out, I think he's fine. The sweat starts with like Alex Bowman, Christopher Buescher, Dale Wallace Jr. at plus 16 over Ryan Preece. But right now, those are the guys that are there. Kyle Busch has been making ground, slowly but surely, and so has Gibbs. So I guess there might be an opportunity there points-wise for either of those guys, but we'll see. Let us go to Xfinity. Xfinity Series is, so now Connor Zilisch gets 2 wins in a row, takes the playoff points lead with his 4th win of the season. And, it was a rain-shortened race. It was just him and Taylor Gray who got the pole based on the algorithm. Al Murillo, Bruckshot Jones. So the Gibbs guys were up front, but in the end, the two cars from JRM, the 88 and the 7, were up there. And go through the top 10 here. Zilisch, Al Murillo, Jones, Allgaier, Jesse Love, your top 5. Ryan Sieg, 6. Taylor Gray, 7. Sheldon Creed. Sawalichu has started to make a turnaround. And then Christian Eckes from 31st to 10th. So credit to him. Go and do that. Ryan Truex driving for Sam Hunt in the NJ State Police car. So yeah, that's why he should have finished worse than that. I like Ryan Truex too, even though he's a douche. But Jake Finch, the son of James Finch, getting his debut in the 17 for the EndrickCars.com Chevy. Rajah Caruth driving for Jordan Anderson Racing, finished 22nd. You had LeVar Scott driving for Alpha Prime, finished 28th. So that was a few guys there. You had the Hour Motorsports team run their last race after they got rid of Chris Wrong. And Nick Sanchez had a mechanical issue after starting second, finished next to last and then Ross Chastain had a rear gear issue. So 2 guys that probably would have had opportunities there if they were able to finish out the race, end up in the back there. But, Connor Zilisch is on a roll. He's going to be a Cup Series driver next year. What's insane is this is his first, full year on ovals. That's what makes this, really insane, is, he is a road racer by trade, road racer in like I guess TA2 cars, but like GT prototypes, open wheel. He's jumping into an old school stock car because that's really what the Xfinity is. That's basically the last bastion of the like Gen, I guess what we would say like the Gen 4 era. There's some Gen 4, it's Gen 5, whatever, kind of era there. And he's also taken pretty well to drive in the Gen 7 Cup car, which is a good sign for Trackhouse. It's a fail by every other team that they didn't sign him. I don't know how, Justin Marks was the only guy that was like, yeah, I'm gonna sign him. Like it seems like it's the same crap like when Tony couldn't get Kyle Larson, I don't know how many different times. Gibbs, of course, they don't have options. They don't have space. They willingly don't have space. Then you have like Penske, who doesn't have an Xfinity program, but supposedly they're going to make one again to get one of these current young guns.
Maybe Carson Koppel there.
Carson Koppel or Jesse Love. I saw Jesse Love, but who knows? Carson Koppel's another one. Then you have Roush doesn't have a program, and they're expanding their Cup team, but they don't have a third charter. You have Legacy doesn't have an Xfinity program, and they're trying to expand their team. JRM, of course, doesn't have a Cup program, and they're just a farm for everybody else. I mean, it's all to say, like, he's still learning. Every week is a learning experience for Connor Zilisch. So he hasn't even hit. I don't even think he's anywhere near the best that he could be. And he's got 4 wins this year, and he's leading the playoff points. And we got more road races to go. We have, I think and JRM's the best team in this series by far. So, I mean, outside of Allgaier, really, what's really, and I mean, you have the likes of Hank Hill and, his bestie, Jesse Love, but the Fords aren't fast this year at all, really. The Toyotas aren't fast, but then they don't really have anybody either. So what's really stopping Connor Zilisch from possibly going at 18 years old, 18 years of age, and going and winning an Xfinity championship here in 2025?
I don't think there's really anything stopping Connor Zilisch from being able to achieve that. And right now, he's 55 points behind Justin Allgaier there in the regular season standings right now. So I don't know if he'll be able to close that gap, but considering we still have one more road course race here before the playoffs start for Xfinity as well, there's possibility that he could catch Justin Allgaier in there if Allgaier has a problem the rest of the way through this regular season, and there's still more opportunities for Connor Zilisch to win there on other tracks as well. So there's even the possibility that he could potentially catch him there in the regular season standings and win the regular season championship, which then of course would be the good guarantee of him getting through all the rounds and getting into the final race there at Phoenix. So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see how this kind of plays out. You're right, he hasn't had too much oval experience really, but he's also very impressionable at 18, whereas SVG at 36 now is having to learn an entire new career on ovals, and Zilisch is on the very beginning of it, and he's able to pick up all that he's learned. And I think it also helps that he's had late model experience as well in the Cars Tour over the last couple of years, in addition to all his karting, all his road racing experience in IMSA and the MX5 Cup there. So for Connor, this is really, really good to see that he's already gotten 4 wins and potentially could be a title contender here at the end of the season. So really interesting to see how that'll play out as the season progresses and how we get into the playoffs and how we get put into those scenarios where you're going to have to make certain decisions to move on and make decisions to win races during the playoffs and the championship race. So be curious to see how that plays out there, of course. And it also this being a rain shortened finish, though. I guess unfortunate there, but there was a lot of weather here in Dover this past weekend, so affected both races here in the Xfinity and in the Cup race there. So not too much really else you can say, because it was really just Taylor Gray won the first stage, got one playoff point, and then Zilisch won the rest of the event basically there. So other than that, there wasn't really too much that happened in this event, but just the fact that Zilisch was able to go out there and on speed be able to stay ahead of the field is really impressive. And just in this short amount of time that he's been here at the second tier of NASCAR, the second highest tier, he's been able to achieve what he's been able to achieve. So this is really impressive from him, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the rest of the season goes for him.
Points and 56-point gap, and some may forget that he had to miss a race after Talladega when his bestie went and put him in the wall at Talladega, and then he missed Texas, and Larson drove the 88 and won. So they've won 5 races this year, that 88 team with Marty Lindley, 4 with Marty Lindley and 1 with Pancakes calling the shots. And so you have 5 wins for them. And so you consider what kind of, how good he's been. He's tied for the best average finish with Sam Mayer, who, I'll say that Mayer and Creed, they've been relatively consistent and up front. Pacing-wise, I don't think they've had ultimate pace, and that's where they're lacking. But in terms of it looks like Creed should be solid. I think Taylor Gray also, for guys that haven't won, Mayer's going to make no problem. Carson Quapple's doing pretty good. He's only 2 points behind Buckshot Jones for 6th overall. So Carson Quapple should be fine. That would give all the full-time JRM cars into the playoff this year. I have Nick Sanchez right there as one. So, and then it'll be 2 Gibbs cars at the moment, as it stands. But then you have 7 winners, and right now Jeb Burton, based on 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, Jeb Burton's on the bump spot, 7 points ahead of his little cousin Harrison, and then 30 points ahead of Ryan Sieg. So there is a battle for that playoff bubble. So it's something to look into as we get closer to the end of the regular season. And in Indianapolis is a track that's probably going to be another battle for those big 3 teams that are, or 4 teams that dominate what is the top 10 in points. And I guess if you want to count Nick Sanchez, because he's an RCR affiliate, top 11 in points. Okay, so we are through, and we were talking about it off air, of course, but you have familiarity, Josh, with the area, and having SoCal back on the schedule, putting it at a Prime, in a Amazon Prime race, having it on Father's Day, 250th year of the military or the United States, whatever. All these different things going on. It has the makings of what could be an amazing event, and the backdrop will be outstanding too. The street course, we've seen it at Chicago. It's been cool. But I think this is a next level thing, because I think you have wider roads, I believe. And so there's, I think, real opportunity to have a really good race there. And having all 3 series, it's going to be a real party. I don't know how many tickets. I don't know what the logistics are going to be, because I can only imagine some of the circus animals that are going to be going for it. But it's going to be quite a show. And, I mean, we were talking about some of the airport circuits of yesteryear, Cleveland, Berkeley Lakefront Airport for IndyCar, CART, whatever. You had Edmonton back in the day. And there's a few circuits DTM has run at over the years. I know Formula E in Germany, Berlin. You have a few others, I think. But, I mean, this is an opportunity here, Josh, to utilize the strength of, our great military, and to your dad, of course, thank you to him and to everybody that has served, and to be able to go and give a thanks, and especially on Father's Day, it's really cool. Used to be Michigan forever, Father's Day weekend. I think they had Pocono there once or twice, and they keep on changing it. It used to be Michigan forever, but real opportunity, right? I think because they're not going to run on an oval anytime soon there. I don't know if they're ever going to consider Kern County, but Kevin Harvick's track, but I mean, that would be an opportunity, but at least with a truck race. But in this case, it's an opportunity to get people out there in a street race. And Jim Johnson grew up, I don't know how many minutes away from there, so he wants to race it, and he's a 7-time champion. So there's a lot of energy for this race already.
Yeah, there's a lot of energy here for this race. Because I think just the backdrop, like you said, with the, I guess in the very background, you're going to see downtown San Diego probably on there, and then also I think if you have the different carriers that'll probably be in port during this race. I think that's definitely going to be an important backdrop. I think it's going to be really cool, and you kind of saw it in the trailer there for this with the carrier with all the planes on the flight deck there for this race. So it's gonna be really cool to kind of see that layout, and I'm sure throughout the course that they'll have different spots where there'll be maybe a aircraft of some kind being displayed there. We've seen, like you said, at Cleveland, I think they had the FedEx airplane there on display in one of the corners there to kind of show that. But yeah, I mean, it's gonna be really cool. I mean, with how this is gonna play out here, which it looks like from the map. I mean, they've already shown a map here of if you looked at the video of that, and Carson Hocevar showed kind of what it looks like to be a layout that they're gonna implement there for this track. I'm still trying to figure out where exactly this would be on the base there, but I mean, it looks pretty interesting there, and I think maybe hopefully with the roads, of course, in San Diego and California in general are they're definitely a lot wider than they are in other states, so that might be a benefit there. Whereas I'm sure in Chicago the streets were very narrow there, but yeah, it's going to be an interesting course, and for Jimmy Johnson, he'd like to be a part of this, of course. Which El Cajon's probably about from the Naval Air Station there. It's probably maybe 30 minutes, I would say, or something like that. Just looking on the map here, there, but on Coronado, which is actually comprised of about 8. So there's about 8 different facilities here, because there's the Naval Air Station North Island, and then there's the Naval Amphibious Base Coronado, Point Loma Naval Base San Diego, and then there's another island, San Clemente Island, which is a little bit further away, but I think this is supposed to take place on the North Island, in which you saw in the video yesterday. The entrance there to North Island Naval Air Station was featured on that. So, it's gonna be pretty cool to see this play out. And like I said, for me, I used to live in San Diego up in Oceanside for like a year and a half there. So, been to this base actually plenty of times. Just with my folks, just going there to go to the Navy Exchange or the commissary. So I've been there and everything. It's been a while since I've been there actually. We lived there in like 2009, so it's been 15 years, so or more than that now. So it'd be pretty cool to see how they're able to lay out a course here and figure out like how the logistics of all that, which of course they're probably going to have the base open for public or different areas be open for public viewing. I mean, I don't know, they say tens of thousands, but I don't know exactly how much that would entail there, which of course another thing is that you're going to have to go over a bridge. So there's a huge bridge here in San Diego called the Coronado Bridge, which goes over to the island there. So that's going to be another thing to kind of consider with, I guess, traffic and logistics of all that. So that'll be one thing to consider here for this. But let's see what else here. It's going to be just something that, be really exciting, especially like with the 250th anniversary of the Navy, and a couple weeks later, July 4th, the 250th anniversary of the United States. So I think there's a lot to go there for. So I'm already thinking. I'll be honest, I'm already thinking about like the possibility of going there and everything. Of course, remember last year I did drive to San Diego from Florida, so I don't know. Maybe I have to hit up my friends and see about doing that or something like that. Maybe not. But I actually should have seen, because my hotel that I stayed at before going back was like right across from the bay, but like we were in front of like a ship, or I guess like a not a shipyard, but like a marina. So I didn't see the base from that. But if I maybe would have walked to the other side of where that part is on Harbor Island, probably could have seen the base from there. But should be all really interesting there with having all the ships there. USS, I think the one in the video that they had is the USS Abraham Lincoln number 72. So just really excited, I guess, from a personal standpoint to see this play out and everything. And hopefully it turns out to be a good event. And I mean, it's on a 1-year deal right now, so we'll see if it becomes a long-term fixture on the schedule there. Got all 3 series coming to this event, so it should be interesting to see it play out. And of course, like I said, iRacing going to be developing the course, which it's interesting because they had already developed, when Chicago happened, they had already developed the course, so they already had a layout to go off of for this, and then they ended up using that for Chicago. But this one, they still haven't finalized, or at least they say they haven't finalized everything, but they are working with iRacing to develop the course there. So looking forward to seeing what that ends up looking like here. I think they'll announce that in a couple months from now, like in October or November or something. So like I said, really, really excited to see it, and hopefully it turns out to be a good event, logistically, and the race, of course, which we've seen the next gen racing on road course in Chicago on the street course hasn't been quite the best. So we'll see how it ends up playing out with the layout, and if it ends up producing good racing, and hopefully we're able to come back for more than just next year.
Yeah, I figure just like the Chicago race will probably run it at least twice. There's going to be a huge, because of the anniversary, or 250th year, and the Navy, the United States, is going to be a big deal. Last race of the prime portion of the schedule next year, so proving once again how much Amazon Prime It was almost like turned into NBC with football. How they're able to cherry pick about some good races. Hopefully they'll have Pocono as well again next year, because then they'll give me an excuse to go. Because I think there's a better chance I'll be able to go for that than I will to go for San Diego. Ron Burgundy references and all the other stuff, and also the fact that they don't have a football team. They haven't had a football team for a few years now, and yeah, the Padres are there, but you know they're Padres. The fact that and then basketball, I think the Clippers were. I forget if the Clippers were thinking of moving out to San Diego area, or if they're going to go.
But they started in San Diego.
They
there was
did.
team.
Yeah, they were in San Diego. They used to have. I forget. They played in some dumpy arena before they went to Staples, whatever the hell they call it now, but what was Staples Center, and then Bomber bought it, and then I think he moved them into that Intuit Dome or whatever the hell that place. I forget where he moved them to, but yeah, I think it's a great opportunity, and since they don't have a permanent track that they're at least looking at, which, you know, that's neither here nor there. 3-mile circuit, utilizing streets, utilizing the base, so it's going to be unique to what, compared to what NASCAR usually is on, so that'll be good. And I mean, you could just go and pencil in SVG as a favorite now. So, and Connor Zilisch, we were talking about Connor Zilisch and how good he is. That's an opportunity race for him. But yeah, we'll see what happens with that. We are gonna go now to the IndyCar series, the Ontario Honda Dealers Indy Toronto. The starting lineup was Herta on pole, Hello Palou, Marcus Armstrong, Winch Power, Green Mehul, Kyle Kirkwood made the Firestone Fast 6, Louis Foster, Marcus Ericsson, Rinus Veekay, Pato O'Ward started 10th, Callum Ilott and Nolan Siegel made the Fast 12, Kyffin Simpson was 13th, so he was the fastest car that didn't make it. Yeah, Dixon starts 17th. You had Newgarden just behind him in 18th. Root Beer Float, Christian Lundgaard in 19th. So, a bunch of guys, Rosenquist. Then Root Beer Float had wrecked in the morning warm-up and didn't race. And then in the race, there was a lot of carnage, a lot of, commercials on the TV broadcast. But, they ran, it was a 90 lap race, and this year instead of 85, made 3 pit stop race for a good amount of drivers, but for the guys who finished second and third, they only did 2. But Pato O'Ward was a beneficiary of strategy and timing based on yellows to go and get himself out front when it counted and be able to pass Rinus Veekay on track to end up with the victory. Veekay trying to win Dale Coyne a race for the first time, and I feel like it was the late Justin Wilson at Texas. Might have been the last time a Dale Coyne car won a race, or it might have been Bourdais, one of those two. But he gave it a valiant effort, finished second behind O'Ward, who gets his second win of 2025. Kyffin Simpson gets his first career podium finish. Herta, Ericsson, Kirkwood give Andretti Global positions 4 through 6. Green Mehul was 7th. Ilott finished 8th. Malukas from 15th to 9th. And then Scott Dixon, who gets a top 10 finish. Power did 3 stops and fell back during the day. Had hit a few people, which is his norm. Hello Palou led the most laps in the race, but strategy never fell in the favor of the guy who is going to likely be the IndyCar champion again. Lundgaard to 13th there. And there's also some of these other guys that had issues there. Siegel 3 laps down. Rosenquist 4. Rasmussen 8, and then Louis Foster, Siegel and Rosenquist wrecked. Then you had Abel, Newgarden, Rossi, McLaughlin wrecked too. Wrecked in after they says too. Didn't he have a tire fall off? I'm trying to remember who it was that had a tire fall off. But it says only 2 laps. I don't know how the hell that is, but if he had a pit stop. But Rossi, yeah. So Penske's having a horrible year, and yet another instance of that this past weekend at Toronto. But someone who is putting himself in the mix to try and actually sort of kind of make this championship still be interesting with 4 races to go is Pato O'Ward, and he is solidly going to be in second in points, I think, this year. But he's probably going to have to run the table to give himself a chance to catch up to Palou, because Palou has had instances where the late in the season he has a little bit of a lull. Toronto didn't work out so well. You have Laguna, which he's won at before, of course, but the tracks that they're going to run here, Milwaukee, you have Nash 2 ovals coming up here to run out this schedule. So you have Laguna, you have Portland, Milwaukee, and Nashville to end the season. So two oval races. Granted, he's won a short oval and the Indianapolis 500, but I would venture to say he's not as solid there. But great win by Pato O'Ward this past weekend. But I think the real work starts now if he wants to give himself any type of shot at the championship this coming weekend at Laguna Seca. But at least he can say he's one of only 3 drivers this year that's won a race. And it's been a really tough year that way. Or 4 drivers that's won a race, right? Because Dixon won. And the only Chevy. So Zach Brown was there, and he enjoyed the show for sure.
Yeah, for Pato O'Ward, you have to wonder, this late season charge here that he appears to be making, how much of this can he take advantage of to challenge Alex Palou for the championship. And he's going to have to go on a tear these last 4 races starting here at Laguna Seca. And I mean, probably just going to have to, more than likely, have to win out to give himself a chance here. For Alex Palou, is going to have to run into some more bad calls the rest of the way that take him out of contention for a race or 2 that help close the gap there to Pato O'Ward. So there's a lot of things that are going to have to happen for Pato O'Ward. So it's nice to see that he's making a late season charge here. We'll see if it ends up being too little or it's just the right time. So for Pato O'Ward, of course, they made the right pit strategy. And they were able to take advantage of that to go out and win the race here. And Palou, of course, led the most laps in this race, but they decided to stay out while other people pitted during some of the rash of yellows that we saw throughout this race. So, yeah, really for Alex Palou, I mean, I think all he has to do is just do enough to be able to win the title. Just continue to, I mean, if he doesn't win, podium or top 5 or anything like that. But if he has more races like this where ends up on the outside of the top 10 here, that could open the door for Pato to come in and sweep the championship. Which, I mean, granted, for IndyCar, this whole season it's been Alex Palou, and a lot of the things that IndyCar makes it great is the fact that we've had a competitive championship in this series. Last several seasons where mathematically it comes down to the final race, and we could end up in a situation here like that, and it could make it interesting, especially for Fox, their first year broadcasting in this series, if it ends up coming to a situation where Pato O'Ward is actually able to challenge for the championship, maybe we see really good race at Nashville to close out the year with one of those two guys becoming the champion if it comes down to that. So be really interested to see how that plays out. But looks like Pato O'Ward's kind of rising at the right time here as we get late into the season, and Alex, I mean, just has to minimize these type of results there. But I mean, for the rest of the field, I mean, you mentioned Penske, which looks like Joseph Newgarden is as miserable as ever, and Scott McLaughlin, and also having issues there. So I saw posts on Reddit. Somebody said, since they stopped doing their Bus Brothers podcast or show, whatever you want to call it, ever since they stopped doing that, they've been running poorly as a team. So maybe they got to bring it back. I mean, it's interesting there. So, Joseph Newgarden, I guess whatever he decided to do, he was like, oh, I'm going to stop having fun here at the racetrack. Well, I guess it's made him really miserable, because other than winning the Indianapolis 500, he's just not been very good the last 2 years here in IndyCar. So, whatever it is, I mean, they've got to figure out what's wrong. So maybe pull out the cameras and the microphones and start doing that podcast again, and have a little reunion there, I guess, to get things going along. But now, in all seriousness, I mean, I think part of it is just the fact they lost Cindric there, and I think the other part of it is just that you have had unfortunate luck. I mean, running into the back of Jacob Abel there for Newgarden there. So, I mean, Will Power's having the best season for Team Penske, and he might not even come back next year. That's actually the ironic part of all this, is that he may not even be back in the 12 car next year. They might be putting David Belucas there. So, I mean, we might be seeing that change here soon. But it's been an interesting season up and down in IndyCar. But we're closing in here on the final stretch and going to one of its most iconic, I think, in terms of things that have happened, tracks at Laguna Seca, and getting this final stretch. So, really excited to see kind of how this all plays out, and if Alex Blow, can you hold on and win 3 in a row here, or Pato O'Ward going to come out of nowhere and challenge here for the championship? I'm really excited to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I mean, that's the intrigue we have at this point. And Fox made their marketing around 3 drivers. You mentioned one of them in Newgarden, but the other 2 that they made their marketing around are the 2 guys that are battling for this championship. So I guess they knew something. But I mean, they didn't take into account Kyle Kirkwood, who's been doing pretty solid. I mean, granted, he's 173 points back. It's just so crazy. But he has 3 wins. So he has 3 wins. He has the same amount of top 5s as Dixon and 1 less top 10 than Dixon. So that's why they're only separated. That's separated by 1 point there. So yeah, Palou 99 ahead of O'Ward. Kirkwood a point ahead of Scott Dixon. Then Lundgaard and Rosenquist in their little battle. Armstrong and Herta. Then you have Power, Malukas, and VK. So that's 11 points. Actually, VK has a chance to finish in the top 10 in points. Root Beer Floathead missing the race, I think, fell out of the top 10 because he was in there. A point ahead of McLaughlin. Simpson with his podium moves up to 14th. I'm curious about the leader circle now situation because of the points there. Yeah, so that's Abel's. Yeah, so Abel, they're dead last. Devlin DeFrancesco. Well, they have charters, so I forget how that whole deal works. And then Stingray Rob is 2 points behind Ilott. Louis Foster, 23rd in points, but I think he's had with terrible luck. And then Green Rehol's tied with Marcus Ericsson. I want to talk about somebody that probably needs to be replaced, other than Nolan Siegel's Marcus Ericsson, outside of his run at the Indianapolis 500. Yeah, so we will move on there, right there, yeah, and that, and we'll go to the Roundup NHRA last week at Seattle. Sean Reed had a huge wreck and is on the men, thankfully, okay. What is it? Brittany Force set a all-time record with 341 miles an hour at so North trying to scroll through. Fewest events to reach 25 wins. Well, yeah, for Gage Herrera, since there's so much competition for the freaking guy. Langdon, so go through recovering toward a future return to looking for top field competition. Blah blah blah. More news stories. Trying to find that news on Brittany Force's run there, but as it stands in Top Fuel, 2 drivers already clinched into the championship. Sean Langdon, Tony Stewart. Langdon, of course, won in Top Fuel this past weekend. Dallas Glenn, Greg Anderson in Pro Stock. Then Pro Stock Motorcycle, Gage Herrera, Richard Gadsden, and Matt Smith. Old Girls was Pacific Race. Brittany Force ran 341.85. Fastest, that were the first, 4th, 5th, and 6th fastest in history. Wow. Forces between Brittany Force and Doug Coletta. Dallas Glenn, 7th quickest pass in Pro Stock history. Cody for 640, 6'2", 645. Oh, wow. 644. Yeah. And then NHRA, so Rosa Bostic. Oh, wow. That is insane. Yeah. And then Jim Dunn. Okay. So, go through, that's my, just trying to go and figure out, to get that information. So, current points, first results from last week in Muckleshoot Casino. Yeah, Langdon wins in Top Fuel, Matt Hagan and Funny Car, Dallas Glenn, the Seattle kid goes and gets the win in Pro Stock, and Herrera in Pro Stock Motorcycle. The in Top Fuel, Langdon beat Brittany Force in the final, and Langdon had a bye after beating Tony Stewart in the second round. Brittany Force beat Doug Coletta with that 341.85 pass in the semifinal. In Funny Car, Hagan from the number 2 spot beat Buddy Hull, Jack Beckman, Alexis DeJoria, and then Ron Cap in the final to get that job done. Caps from the number 4 spot beat Hunter Green, Daniel Wilkerson, and Spencer Hyde on his way to the final. Spencer Hyde, who beat Austin Prock in the second round to go and advance to the semis. In Pro Stock Motorcycle, or Pro Stock Car, Dallas Glenn was number 1 qualifier, beat Kenny Delco, Matt Latino, Greg Stanfield, and then Jed Coughlin Jr. Shook the tires right out the hit after Jed Coughlin red lit. So this is probably one of the slowest victories ever in Dallas Glenn's career. Greg Stanfield red lit is in the semifinals. Then Jed Jr. from the number 6 spot beat his teammate Eric Enders, then another teammate Corey Reed, and then his nephew Cody Coughlin, who used to drive NASCAR trucks. He qualified number 2 in this race. So then in Pro Stock Motorcycle, you had Gage Herrera from the number 2 spot. They literally only had 8 bikes. Oh wow, that is pathetic. They only had 8 bikes at that race. Wow. John Hall was the number 1 qualifier, red lit in the first round to Chris Bostic, who ended up having issues, as I mentioned, then shook the tires on the hit and gave the win to Gadsden there. Gadsden lost to his teammate Herrera beat Matt Smith in the second round, which was basically the final. And Herrera treed Matt Smith to get there, so All right. Point standings, Langdon now is 12 points ahead of Tony Stewart for that regular season title. Justin Ashley minus 93, the last driver within 100 points. That's like 5 rounds. In funny car, Austin Prox got a 140-point lead on Matt Hagan, and on Beckman, 166 on Hagan, 177 on Caps. Pro Stock, Glenn, 36 points ahead of Greg Anderson, and then it's God knows after that. Gage Herrera, 38 points ahead of Richard Gadsden, 143 ahead of Matt Smith. So that's really the battles there. We will move forward to Moto 2 at Brno this past weekend. And it looks like, what was it, Czech Grand Prix, and it was Joe Roberts. Wow. Wins for the first time in 2025. Made his debut Moto 2. Returned tops that first time of the season. So, wow, that's awesome. So Joe Roberts gets the victory in the Czech Grand Prix, first time at Brno in 5 years, by just over a second on Barry Baltus and Manny Gonzalez. Marcos Ramirez, Roberts' teammate, was 7th, so credit to them. So the standings moving into their little break that they have in Moto 2, because I'm not even going to bother with MotoGP. Gonzalez has a 25-point lead on Aaron Canet. Baltus minus 54. Morera. Yeah, so Joe Roberts with the win moves himself up to 10th, 1 point behind Albert Arenas and 10 behind Celestino Vietti. You're going? Yeah. Okay. All right. So Ramirez is right behind him, so the teammates tied there. So credit to Joe Roberts, though. It's been a while for him to win a race. So good to see him get a victory in Moto 2. In Rally Estonia was Oliver Solberg going and getting his first overall rally win to go and match his father as a winner in the World Rally Championship. So credit to Oliver Solberg there. And Shock Rally 1 victory. Being third youngest winner in WRC history behind Kalle Rovanperä and Jari-Matti Latvala. Wow. That is commanding maiden winners Rally 1 return. 100th WRC victory for Toyota. And they're leading WRC 2 at the moment. So, wow. So there you go. Won by 25.2 seconds over Otanek. And Thierry Neuville was third, 38.3 seconds back. Kalle Rovanperä was fourth, 55.6 seconds. And then Adrian Formeau, fifth for Hyundai. Efren Evans, sixth. Sami Pajari, seventh. Martin Seix. And then McElrain were 8th and 9th for M Sport. And then Gregoire Munster, 10th. So, so credit to Oliver Solberg there on that victory. And points going for F Formula 2 drivers standings going into this weekend's race at Spa. They're actually, so I was wrong. So Spa and then Budapest will be back-to-back before they take their break and then run their last race of the season at Monza. So only 6 total races, 3 rounds left. Richard Veilleur is only 6 points ahead of Jack Crawford. So Crawford has momentum. Dunn and Fornaroli are also in the mix there for this championship, and I guess Luke Browning is 24 points back. So yeah, right now it's still 5-driver battle for this championship. There's Seb Montoya in 7th. Kushmaini is in 12th. And yeah, the Max Easterson's one of the only ones that hasn't gotten a point yet. That's pretty terrible. Then in Formula 3, the standings with the same amount, 6 races, 3 rounds. Kamara has a 27-point lead on Tramnitz, 29 on Zoloff, and Mary Boya, Stenshore, then Uguchuku or whatever. The American driver is 16th. And there's some other ones there, but I'm not even going to bother there. And Formula E, of course, Oliver Rowland has locked up the championship in Formula E, but there are other battles to look at here in this last doubleheader to end the season. Then the London Prix, blah, 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 standings. So for drivers, Pascal Wehrlein has a 13-point lead on Taylor Barnard. Then there's Antonio Felix da Costa, Nick Cassidy battling for fourth. Verne, Ticktum, and Mortara. Max Gunther, Jake Dennis. That's only separated by 12 points. Buemi, Evans, just outside of the top 10. You have former champions Nick DeVries, Stoffel Van Dorn. In the teams championship, Tag Porsche has a 23-point lead over Nissan for the teams trophy. DS Penske 6 points out of Jaguar for third. Then Neo McLaren 1 point ahead of Mahindra there for fifth. And then in the manufacturers, Porsche has a 7-point lead on Nissan. So that's where I think in terms of some of those driver battles and then the manufacturers championship is going to be quite interesting. Some of the teams battles behind the leaders there could be interesting as well. World Superbikes. Yeah, so World Superbikes at Hungary. Current results or standings: Toprak Raskat Lioku 4 points ahead of Nicolo Balega. Of course, Toprak Raskat Lioku moving to MotoGP next year. Then you have Danilo Petrucci, who is 15 points out of Alvaro Bautista. Andrea Locatelli in fifth. It's who's 21 points behind Petrucci. So there's the battle between those top two. Then you have another battle third through fifth. Sam Lowe's by himself. And then you have the rest, which is a pretty close battle there. It's only, 14 points separating 7th through to 12th. And then even if you really, there's 30 points from 7th all the way to 16th where Garrett Gerloff is. I'm curious to see how that'll all go. And, so we have all that. Went through all that. World Superbike Indy next. So Indy next, the last thing we'll talk about here, doubleheader at Laguna Seca coming up. Dennis Hauger trying to get the sweep. After this race, after this doubleheader, they'll have 3 races to go. Portland, of course, going with the same calendar as IndyCar, with Portland and Milwaukee and Nashville to end the season. The current standings: Dennis Hauger leads the points by 76 over Lockie Hughes. Kyle Collette is in third. Miles Rowe in fourth after his win at Iowa. Then Salvador D'Alba, Pearson, and Jack William Miller tied for 9th in points there. So, in a big pot of drivers that includes Miss Hummer 2.0, 7 points behind him, and then Evagoras Papazafis there as well, who's only run 5 races out of the 9 and is 20th in points. So that's something. We'll see what Hauger can do trying to go and get this championship. He's won 5 out of the 9 races, 6 poles, 8 top 5s and 9 top 10s. So only 1 non-top 5 finish so far this year. So dominant performance. And honestly, I'm curious to see if what his funding situation would be because anybody in IndyCar really should be looking at him as a prospect for long term. He was a prospect in Formula One, so I'm not surprised he's doing it here. All right, so Belgian Grand Prix, they're going to go in 2 more races before they go to the break. Of course, Lauren Mecky's taking over Red Fool. We got different rumors in terms of the Mercedes drivers relative to Fish Lips. But you have the current driver standings here. 8 points separate Oscar Piastri and his teammate Lando Norris. Fish Lips is 18 points ahead of Woody Russell. Eclair is 16 points ahead of Sir Lewis Hamilton. Alex Albon, 9 points ahead of Nico Hulkenberg, who got the podium at the British Grand Prix. And then you have a pretty tight battle, 10 points separating Ocon in 10th all the way to Carlos Sainz in 15th, and 11 points separate. So really from 10th on through 17th, which is Yuki Tsunoda, is really close, only 13 points separating those guys. Only 2 drivers that haven't scored a point are Franco Colapinto, who replaced Jack Doohan. Teams Championship McLaren, Ferrari is 12 points ahead of Mercedes, and Williams is 18 points ahead of Sauber. Toro Rosso and Aston Martin are tied for 7th. Haas is 7 points behind them. And then Alpine is dead last, but they're only 10 points out of 9th there, and only 17 out of 7th. So, and if we're really getting froggy with it, 21 or 20, 22 points. Yeah, 22 points. So interesting to see there. I don't know who picked. Yeah, I picked first last week, and qualifying wise, I did all right. And you pick. Yeah, your picks were solid. You really should have bet. But Josh, you get first dibs here. Formula One. Are we going to see Fish Lips somehow or another pull one out of his ass at his actual home track, or will it be the usual McLaren battle? Or does Ferrari, with their upgrades, have a chance here this weekend at Spa?
I think it's going to continue to be a McLaren show here in the F1. So, I'm going to go with Oscar Piastri to win the race and Lando Norris to finish in second. However, I think Max can emerge out of this new cycle here in Formula One and finish in third place here at his technically home track here.
Myself, sorry. I was going in between the picks and that. I will agree with the Oscar Piastri pick, and I'm just gonna go same top 2, but I'll go and change up third place, and I'll say George Russell will finish third on Sunday at Spa instead of Fish Lips. So Woody Russell there. So Piastri, Norris, Woody, podium for me. And of course, wild card will always be either Lewis Hamilton or Carlos Sainz, because those are my favorite drivers. But we'll see what happens. IndyCar at Laguna Seca. So for me, I'll just go Pato O'Ward. He has momentum, and he needs to win. So that's why. That's really my justification. Not because he's like done amazing at Laguna Seca over the years, but he just needs to win. I mean, it was hanging out there, honestly, for me to go with Palou, and Colton Herta's won 2 poles and 2 races there. Palou did the same in 24. You had and won the race in 22. Winch Power in the last whatever. Yeah, this is since they returned, but over the last 4 years or 6 years. And then Felix Rosenquist got a pole. Power got a pole there. So Dixon got a win in 23. So that is there. So yeah, my wild card pick. I'd have to look at the points. 27 drivers are running currently, so I think that means a top 14. So my wild card will be Green Rehole because they've had great pace on the permanent road courses. So I will just go out on a limb there with Green Rehole. Hall wild card. How about you, Josh?
Yeah, I'll just say that Alex Palou gets back in victory lane here this weekend at Laguna Seca, and let me see. For me, I'll pick Christian Rasmussen here as a wild card here this weekend.
Yeah, the sponsor of the race is Java House. That's one of the sponsors for Ed Carpenter Racing. So would be good for Rasmussen to get a good run out of there if possible. And he's done well here on and off. So entirely, I wouldn't put it past him to have a good chance. We will. Rasmussen finished 13th last year. I picked Ray Hall, and Ray Hall finished 24th last year, 27th in 23, 18th in 22, but in 21 he finished 4th and finished 12th in 2019. Alrighty. Let's move on to the Truck Series race, the T-Sport 200. The Truck Series has been off for a while, so it'll be they're a short field, so everyone's going to make the show 35 trucks. We will have Brent Cruz in the 1 for Tricon, some guy named Jason Alexander in Young 02, the Maggot Moron in the 2 truck, Miss Hummer 3.0 driving a Sunoco truck, Norm Benning. I don't know who's in the 07. Did they announce it? Have they announced anybody? No.
Brandon Queen.
Oh, yeah, okay, so Butterbean. All right, so Butterbean Queen, who's on his way to winning the ARCA championship. So that's interesting. Then Corey Day driving the 7 for Spire. Daniel Hemrick and then Jack Wood have swapped teams, I guess because Jack Wood's paying bills, even though Daniel Hemrick is in the points and has won a race. Jordan Anderson driving for Youngs, some guy named Alan Waller for Reum, never heard of him. Greg Van Alst is going to be running a few races here in this latter part of the season. Ross Chastain driving for Nice in the 44. Got Luke Fenhouse in the 66. 74 Mike Harmon Racing. I don't know. So, Josh, you get first pick here. I know it's been the Corey Heim show. Are we going to see more of the same again on Friday?
Yeah, I'm just going to continue to go with more of the same here. He's just got to continue to add to his totals for this year. So, yeah, I think he'll win the race here. But wild card, I'm going to go with Butterbean, Brandon Butterbean Queen, see what he can do here in this number 07 Spire car.
I was definitely hedging to go for Butterbean as a wild card, but fortunately I won't be able to make that pick. I will go with Ty Majeski to win. He needs a win anyways, so it'll be a good time to get one. And then my wild card pick, I could go there to be fair because he's not running full time, but actually, you know what? I can go and look at the points and get an idea based on how many Yeah, that's 23. Okay, so 12. All right. So, wow, I can actually, well, no, I don't want to do that, though. This is pretty terrible. Wow. I guess I'm going to go with Andres Perez. Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll go with Andres Perez as my wild card. So yeah, Phil goes with Ty Majeski, Nguyen, and Andres Perez de Lara wild card. All right, Xfinity at IMS, the Pennzoil 250 at IMS. Should be racing at Raceway Park, but whatever. 38 for 38, nobody going home. Logan Bearden 07. Garrett Smithley in the 14. Kyle Larson driving in the 17 Hendrick car. Eric Almirillo in the 19 for Gibbs. We got Catherine Legg, another race for her in the Xfinity Series for Jordan Anderson. 35, does it say? It's still TBA, whatever. Got Mason Massey there for Alpha Prime. Leland Honeyman for Cope Family Racing. Dawson Cram in the 74, former guest on the show. And then, so that's that. Are we going to continue the trend for Connor Zilisch? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say Justin Allgaier gets the victory at Indy this weekend. And wild card pick 24, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I guess that counts, even though I didn't race last week. 23, 28. So my wild card pick will be Christian Eckes. So I picked Allgaier there. So Phil, Justin Allgaier to win, and Christian Eckes wild card. What say you, Josh?
I'm going to go with Kyle Larson here and see if he can pull off a double here as he runs the scheme he ran in May in the Xfinity car here this weekend. So yeah, I'll go with him, and then I guess wild card here, go with Josh Williams. Let's see what he can do here on a super speedway of some kind here this weekend.
That's the thing. They have a weird aero package for the Xfinity Series, too, at Indianapolis to keep the cars closer together. So opportunity maybe for some of the drivers that aren't regular contenders to possibly stand out here on Saturday. And last but not least is, of course, the Brickyard 400, the last race of the in-season tournament. Last race for TNT, right? So for this year, Brickyard 400 presented by PPG. Very nice logo. Got 39 for 40, so nobody going home. You have to take into account the 2311 and Front Row Motorsports cars are all considered open now, but NASCAR, of course, made changes to their rule book so that they don't get that used against them in that case, conveniently. Of course, you have a few guys, of course, Chase Briscoe, Justin Haley, both from Indiana. Gumby Cindric has spent plenty of years at Indianapolis because of his dad. You have AJ Allmendinger, who ran the Indianapolis 500 before, along with Larson, as mentioned. Kyle Busch, who's won this race multiple times. And let's see who else. Yeah, Larson's won it. Brad won it. I was wearing that shirt earlier this week. Beat Hamlin for it, no less. What's it called? Yeah, Bell trying to get one at Indy. Trying to remember who else has won at Indy. And Reddick qualified on pole last year. So yeah, Catherine Legg running here. So running the double. Balicki running here for Carl Long. Jesse Love for Beard Motorsports. Along with those 6 other open cars, but nobody will be going home. So Josh, you get first dibs here on the Brickyard 400. In your case, does Kyle Larson get the double?
Yeah, I'm gonna just go ahead and pick him to, get a double of some kind. Like I said, trying to, I guess, make up for not completing the double back in May here. So yeah, I'll pick him. And then my wild card, I'm gonna go with Ty Dillon here to see if he can defeat Ty Gibbs here in the in-season challenge. And by the way, sponsor Seabest from Jacksonville, Florida here, Beaver Street Fisheries there. So that's pretty cool to see. And by the way, Ty Dillon did pick the Jacksonville Jaguars to win the AFC Championship game back in 2018. I remember that and went back on saw that on his Instagram page earlier this week. So that's pretty funny to me. So yeah, I'm rooting for Ty Dillon this weekend here to get that $1 million, even though it's going to go to Kaulig, but they probably could use that $1 million more than Joe Gibbs Racing needs or should use that. So yeah.
Of course, he's got a smoking hot wife, so that also helps. In terms of, for me, my pick, you see, this is just like parked for me to go full homer, a la 2005, a la 2007, the way that he's been running recently. And if he does it, I'll be ecstatic, but I'm going to go with Ryan Blaney instead to win on Sunday. And my wild card will, because they don't have the updated points on J-Ski, of course. They only have the top 20. Well, it works out because I'm going to pick Michael McDowell. So there you go. Okay, so for me, Ryan Blaney to win and Michael McDowell wild card. Also would want to see Ty Dillon win the $1 million for the betterment of society, but I feel like it's going to be hard for him to do so. All right, Josh, it's time to talk about your exploits on iRacing and let us know what you're going to be doing in regards to the Brickyard 400 on there.
Yeah, of course. I mean, past couple of days I've been running Pocono on the Gen 4 car in 2003 Budweiser car there, Dale Jr.'s scheme there. So, I had a couple of good runs. Had one run, finished in the top 5, so it was pretty good. Had a huge save off of turn 3 there, got real loose in the wake of another car off of turn 3 and onto the front stretch, and just managed to save it off there and get it straight and recovered from that to finish in 4th. So it was pretty cool. For me, this week iRacing Brickyard 400, be looking to do that here this weekend, and run the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on the next gen car. Someone pointed to me to a setup to run here for this week, so I'm going to try to do that, and goal. Hopefully you can win. Hopefully, we can do something here and have an opportunity. It's going to be a real challenge, I think, in traffic, of course, so it's going to really depend on qualifying here to be able to run well. So gonna have to qualify real well here. So as long as we can, get in top 10, I think should be okay. Top 5, even better. So for qualifying, so we'll see how that goes. But for me, it's gonna be interesting running this race. Trying to, I'm sure there are some people who have run the iRacing Brickyard 400 here, and being able to do the Indy 500 as well and win both. So I'm sure there's somebody out there, but it would be cool to add my name to that list of people that exist in that realm. So should be good here to do that, and we'll see how that goes. So definitely gonna have to stream that one, of course, to be able to go and run that event there. So the other big news this week, of course, on iRacing related news, the release date for NASCAR 25 on console is October 14th of this year. So be on the lookout for that, and hopefully turns out to be a good game. Some people are a bit concerned about it because it looks like the rendering for the release video wasn't that great, but I'm sure that's just a rendering or whatever. So we'll see how that goes for iRacing. They're releasing their first major. Well, they've released already some console games with World of Outlaws, but certainly a lot of anticipation here with NASCAR on iRacing there. So looking forward to seeing how that goes here in next couple of months here, and definitely gonna have to get that. It looks like PC will be out later in later in the year, so we'll see how that goes in iRacing and being able to run actual dedicated NASCAR game for once on console. So looking forward to being able to get that game. I think it'll be on PlayStation 5 and Xbox, and then PC. I'm not sure if it's going to be on Switch. I don't think so, but we'll be looking forward to get on that. So we'll see. But yeah, that's it for me this week. Of course, as always, the streams on Twitch TV, EU Sailor 2, go and watch that and see how I do this weekend on the iRacing Brickyard 400. Of course, Twitter at JP Hellfine here, and then, of course, YouTube page at the Grip Strip Podcast on YouTube. So, yeah, go and subscribe to that and share our videos, like subscribe our page. So, of course, glad to be back for another week, and of course, a lot of unique announcements this week here in NASCAR, and looking forward to next year in 2026 and seeing how that goes. And of course, Brickyard 400, real life and on iRacing, hopefully we have a good race, and we're able to talk about that and have a lot of things to say about that one next week.
Yeah, I hope so too. It'd be cool to call you the iRacing Indy 500 and Brickyard 400 champ. That would be really cool. Show your prowess in the Gen 4, which of course I think that was a great time era in those days of the Gen 4, and even when they ran that around that track, Gen 3 and Gen 4 eras. That was when Tony won his 2 Brickyard 400s before Jimmy Johnson won there every goddamn year after that. You can find me at PGM GSP28 Instagram, Blue Sky PG Matthew 28 on Twitter. Of course, you can find the Grip Strip Podcast. Grip Strip Podcast on Twitter. PG Matthew 28 Twitter. Grip Strip Podcast on YouTube, as Josh said, and GSP 1428 on YouTube for the audio. PhilipGMatthew.com. Another place you can go for the show, and of course Podbean, which is our hosting site. And with that, we are, now football season is getting underway, training camps getting going, so we are right in the midst of a great time. The doldrums of summer are starting to end there, and looking forward to all the racing this coming weekend, and we'll be back for episode 276 of the Grip Strip Podcast to talk all about that. What happens at Indy, what happens at Laguna, and at Spa, to see how everything goes there, and then everything that will be going on in the world of racing we'll talk about here on the Grip Strip Podcast. So for Josh, I'm Phil. Thanks for listening. Thanks for supporting. And we'll see you next time.